Hey everybody, I'm sitting on the couch again with Dan Thomson. Met Dan down at Otago Uni, hell of a bloke. He's done plenty of stuff which you're about to hear about. And we'll start off with, it's been great weather this weekend. Dan, what have you been up to?
It has been great weather, and thanks for inviting me on the show.
No worries.
Yeah, so I cruise around a lot, as you know. Anyone who follows my Instagram or Facebook knows that I sort of tend to go from place to place. You never quite know where I'm going to be next, which is quite cool. It's the way I like it. It's why I set up Circuband in the first place, really, but we'll get to that later. It's driving up from Christchurch boy, born and raised, and just sort of on my way up into Auckland to fly out to LA for Boxing Day. So, met a few friends on this journey along the way, and I'm lucky I get to travel around the country and just stay at all friends' houses and get to work at the same time. So it's pretty ideal.
Nice. And so you said you're in Rotorua yesterday. What was the deal there, mate?
Yeah, so obviously you caught the ferry from Wellington, drove to Rotorua, and taught our certification courses for Circuband this morning at one of the gyms in Rotorua. So often what happens is the customers buy our kit and then they ask us, hey look, is there any education courses that we can do in order to make sure that we're using your products correctly and safely and effectively. So,
and are they usually buying just the band, or are they getting the technical kit with it as well?
Oh, so technical, you mean the Bluetooth stuff?
Yeah.
That's coming out next year. All the other stuff that we sell is, we sell quite a large package though, if you want it. I mean, we have the bands and all the clip system that attaches to it. You've got the handles and the ankle loops that come with it, the door anchor. But there's plenty of options. We have waist belts, we have rugby balls and stuff that attach to the system as well for all that specificity training and the proprioception and all that kind of stuff. But it's we offer a very bespoke service to people because we're so small, we're so agile. Yeah. So if you want something, it's like the head office that you have to go through is just me.
Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast this morning. I don't know who Tim Ferriss was interviewing, but they were talking about the F-18 for the States, and being a military man, you'll probably appreciate this, that the F-18 was so good because it could move so fast. Yeah. And so they could evade the MiG, whatever it is, the Russian MiG. And so when they turn left, the MiG would follow them, but they've already turned right again, and so they lost them. Yeah. And so obviously that's what you hear about startups, is that the beauty of it is agility. And like I say, got a problem, talk to Dan.
Agility and being able to pivot, that word pivot always comes up, but it's so important. Yeah. Especially as a small business, that's your major strength. Yeah. Like that's where you can truly outcompete anybody, regardless of how big they are. Big companies like Nike, Adidas, Reebok, whoever it is, they set their strategies years in advance, and their product pipelines just can't be changed overnight. Mm-hmm. So in those companies, what they're investing right now is footwear mainly, and apparel and sports performance. Some of them do technology, some of them don't. I know Nike, the Fuel Band is sort of out of production right now because the point is that, we can do what they can't because we can literally meet consumer demand as we recognise it, which is pretty massive. Nice. Especially with the way we can communicate with stakeholders or other companies or collaborators we can help with. So quickly these days, we can make decisions in a day and change our entire business model just like that. Mm. So it's pretty effective stuff and pretty powerful, and that's why there's so many acquisitions these days. Like Unilever, I'm not sure if you knew about this, earlier in the year, bought the Dollar Shave Club for that exact reason. So the Dollar Shave Club was just selling razor blades to people on subscription model. Unilever can't just do that. Yeah. So what they do is they just say, well, you're being a pain in the ass right now because you're taking our market share. You're also a young, fun brand. Instead of us trying to replicate you, we're just going to buy you out, and you can run your systems internally inside Unilever, a massive company. Yeah. So, people are chasing the agile, but it's a hard thing to. It's an easy thing to know you should do, but it's another thing to execute it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So, check of all trades of Circuband. Who is Dan Thomson?
It's a pretty accurate description. I challenge people. I would challenge people to be more of a jack of all trades, to be honest. Okay, well, this is my schedule at the moment. So tomorrow we're meeting one of the top designers in Hamilton, in New Zealand actually, in Hamilton. So that's about designing our product, making sure that the Circuit Band 2.0, the IQ, or the Myo tracker is all going to be good to go in terms of looking pretty, because we have meetings with Apple and those kind of people in the future. So we have to make it look like it's something they would want.
Yeah.
So that's being in product design is pretty important. But last night I was working on the header cards for all our retail. So getting barcodes sorted, knowing the legality around packaging, importing things, pictures, making it look presentable on a shelf. So that's pretty important. That's I was sorting out trademarks this morning. So communicating to James and Wells in Auckland that we needed our trademarks done in the USA.
Yeah. Because
we have investment coming up in March, April. So you got to lock that stuff down.
Yeah.
I've tried to submit trademarks myself in the States before. I've succeeded in some ways, but then in other ways, you just got to realise that when you're out of your depth, and you've got to make sure that anything IP related is locked down nice and tight, because otherwise that can have huge ramifications later on. Obviously, you don't want to be like, yeah, I'm all trademarked up, and then realise that it means nothing, So and then paying bills the other day, like an hour ago, paying bills to overseas, China, getting some stuff done, making sure that the factories are talking to one another, and making sure our networks of factories are all ready to ship goods on time to each other. So it's that, although our team is one person, we don't have a one-person team. We contract out to so many people, and you can even argue our team is probably 25 people when you put them all together. Yeah. They're just because it's we're just contracting out all the time. We don't have staff. We can make changes really quickly. We can activate people as we need them. It's a very lean model that we employ, the leanest.
Just on that pattern, how does it sort of feel, or what sort of emotion comes up when you've got a sink cost like that? Like, obviously it's the viability of your company long term, but when you're trying, like you say, mobilising with factories and stuff, that's some stock that gives you a return. But
absolutely,
sink cost like a pattern. What does that sort of feel like?
You've got to work in the MVP, the minimal viable product. Yeah. Doesn't just limit itself to the product. Yeah. You've got to look at the way that you actually invest money as well. So in terms of the MVP for IP, we register in countries that we sell to the most, and we source from, and then in New Zealand as well. There are three countries, and then you look at your IP. You look at you look at the scope of your patent and how likely it is to be copied, and you just look at ways you can really efficiently do it. You can cover a lot of scope with very little money. A lot of that really is taking it upon yourself to understand the IP system or a structure in enough depth that you can actually talk to a lawyer about it. So, and then build that relationship with the lawyers, so then they know that you're no idiot, and they can't just throw invoices at you. But also, there's so many things you've got to limit. You got to obviously increase your understanding in as many ways as possible, and you've got to look at you got to triage them almost. So we've got this massive IP portfolio planned, but at this stage in time, it's just about what do we need right now. Obviously, the Circuit Band name needs to be trademarked. Okay, that's pretty important. Then you got the design patents. We've got PCTs going through right now, which is the interim stage between patent pending and full patent. So that's going right now into the States. You have to understand as well that these patents all have under the Paris Convention, which is 88 countries. When you file in New Zealand, you get 6 months to a year of worldwide coverage. Mm-hmm. So leveraging those that kind of knowledge helps you limit costs. Knowing that you don't have to trademark Circuit Band in every country right away is important. Yeah. And knowing that if you patent something in one country, you can't patent that country. No one else can patent that from now on. Yeah. Because it's on a first to file basis. It's called. So it just means that sure, people may copy your stuff, but then they can't patent over it, so you won't be buying it back off them. Mm. So just knowing little things like that can be a huge difference maker, and limiting costs is everything. Squeezing the juice out of everything is really important, because no startup has a lot of money. Yeah. Especially one like us, which is only relying on family capital and no external capital to date, which has served us extremely well. Not only do you have an extreme amount of sweat equity in the company, you get a lot of respect from the investors who come on board later on because they can see that you're capable and that you've been capable and you've gotten results over an extended period of time. And that's huge.
Nice. Now you say about having a little bit of knowledge. Has this been a fly of the seat of your pants, listen to as much as you can, or did something at university give you a hand?
Okay, well, my university career has been pretty not related to business.
Yeah.
But I was just going to give a hope to a lot of people out there. I've always been business-minded. I've always wanted to make a lot of money. You have to know my statistics is awful. My maths is awful. I'm quick with numbers in terms of intuition of numbers, if that makes sense. But in terms of like knowing what a standard deviation is, or like how to do a spreadsheet properly, needs work. Needs work. But at Otago, when I was playing footy with you, I was essentially doing business, marketing, health science, psychology, a broad range, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just knew I didn't want to do one particular thing at that moment. I knew I wanted to kind of have a feel for everything so I could long-term pick the right career. So did that. Obviously, I went overseas for the army, which then gives you more practical skills, a little bit more systematic approach or structured approach in the army. You learn a lot about processes, those kind of things, which helps. And then I came back and did education. Education is pretty important, especially when you structure education courses. It's pretty awesome. Being able to communicate an idea to somebody is actually a skill that is taken for granted. And teaching is the epitome of that. Obviously, they say if you understand something, you'll be able to teach to somebody else.
Yeah. That's
what teaching does. It helps to formulate your ideas so you can, transpire them into other people. So.
Nice. And so, obviously there's a big push at the open days and things that you join territorials, and there's plenty of students down there that sign up. What sort of motivated you to get involved with the army?
So my mate Brad was already in there at age 19. I was slightly younger than him, so I wasn't quite 19 yet. But I was looking for adventure and outdoors and getting out and about like most Kiwi guys do. We tend to want to get out there and just explore, muck around outdoors. I think it's pretty fair to say. So when I heard that the army involved getting out there, having a shoot, walking around, hiking around, getting all this cool gear, I was pretty much like, sign me up.
Yeah. And
then when they said, sweet, well, now you signed up, this is the commitment, and just so that you know, there's a peacekeeping trip going next year. If you're good enough, you'll be able to go on that, and that's huge.
Yeah.
So knowing that, you start to look at, okay, well, let's just try whatever we can at university. Let's see what we get a feel for, knowing that probably in a 18 months' time, I'll be overseas anyway, and I'll be breaking up my degree into halves. So I have in that though, I have a focus. I'm a believer in being extraordinary and being different. I think everyone wants to be different and leave their mark on the world, but it's about executing that. And a lot of people talk about it, they just don't follow through with it. I am the guy who will do whatever it takes to follow through with that. And I just imagine myself writing a big book one day and just being like, yep, well, I just did a whole lot of crap, a whole lot of good stuff, just did it all, saw it all, tasted it all, I did it all, and I'm a better person for it. And I met all kinds of cool people, all kinds of crazy stuff was done, and that's the story I want to tell when I look back.
Nice.
So yeah.
So that Todd's perfect being one of the questions I wanted to ask you. You talk about writing a book one day and getting it down and doing lots of things and making it about, to steal their quote, the legacy. You've met Gary Vaynerchuk briefly.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah.
How did that come about? What's Gary V sort of mean to you? And has anything come from that meeting, or what was that like?
So just to backtrack a little bit about motivational speakers, I have leveraged them to the maximum, especially for the first 18 months.
Uh-huh.
So these days I don't need a lot of motivation to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
I am my own motivation now. There's so much progress. There is so much now that is without doubt to me that I am fully obsessed and focused on this goal. In the early stages of business, filled with doubt, filled with doubt. You're getting no replies on your emails. You're getting people saying they don't need you. Your product does not add value or whatever. So you need external motivation to drown out that voice inside that says, "Nah, this is a bad idea." So when you look at motivational speakers, I respect. You've got guys like Eric Thomas, huge. Tony Robbins as well, massive. You've got Alan Watts, huge in terms of talking about vocational aspirations and being and living a life on your terms, massive. And we've got who's the other guy? Oh boy, I forgot him. Ex-radio host, old guy, one of the pioneers of public speaking. I think you know the one.
Does he have classes?
Yes, he does. Yeah. And I'm terrible because I just forgot his name, but I've listened to him since day one. So I'll probably think of it later on anyway.
Yeah.
But so Gary Vee kind of fits into that. I sort of I fell into Gary Vee a bit later on down the track. A lot of his messaging is pretty awesome. It's pretty motivating. But it's always his messaging is also early stage.
Yeah.
It's about getting going.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's it. So these days I'm like, yeah, I respect your hustle. I know what you're all about. It is motivating. But I'm now beyond that.
Yeah.
And now we're working on, like I said, the motivation is there.
Yeah. And I've mentioned it a couple of times with a lot of people on this show.
Yeah.
Touched on Gary, but I've said it, you can listen to him for, a month or 2 months, and it's actually one of the things he says, once you've listened to me enough, keep going and do it.
Exactly.
And I had it on my app for a while, but no longer. If he interviews somebody cool, I'll go back and have a listen, but you're right, it's about starting.
And for sure. His tidbits are all like, early stage. It's all about impactful statements that he makes to get you going. And that's what he's about. 60-second sections of content that are designed to get you up in the morning and get going. But Gary, meeting him, now there's a difference between consuming his product and then wanting to meet him, because you know that you have a lot in common. Yeah. He's obviously a bit further down the track than you, but part of you wants to be there one day.
Yes.
So you can relate and you do want to meet him. And this was clear because in LA, when he had an event there, he was working with Shoe Palace in Melrose Ave, I think it is, in Hollywood there.
So was this before K-Swiss came out with his shoe?
This is my other shoes in the car are Gary Vee's K-Swisses.
Nice.
Yeah. Now the reason that is because we turned up to this thing at this event, this shoe deal that he was doing.
Yeah.
And he said that if you buy his shoes, you get the VIP bracelet, which means that you get the VIP line.
Yeah.
Now, I turned up there, as I do, 4 hours early. I hate lining up when people. I hate having the FOMO. I can't be there while someone else is getting the goods, the results. So I lined up there in 30-degree heat. No one would do this. In fact, I sat down in my runners, in my shorts, and it was melting. The ledge was melting my shorts. Yeah. Oh man, it was so hot, but I didn't care. I put my bag down, sat up there, and I was all good. The thing is, I got there at 3. Most people rocked up at 6:30. It started at 7. There were 2,500 people there. Yeah. I asked them, "Hey, look, how many VIP tickets have you sold for these shoes?" And they said, "Oh, we've sold 400 pairs." I was like, "Okay, I'm going to buy shoes there." There's no way there's enough time for them to go through 400 VIPs and then to the regular public line by midnight. Yeah. So I went in there, bought my shoes, got my wristband, lined up another 3 or 4 hours. I was third one to go and see him. And I gave him a circuit band and I said, "Hey, look, this is great for working out." I was pretty nervous. I was quite humble as well. I don't like to take up people's time. Yeah. If I don't really feel deserved of it, which is funny because we all should feel deserved of taking up people's time, especially if you're adding value. But I was like, "Hey, love your show, huge fan, and look, if you're on the road all the time, this is a great product you can use." And then you got the photo, and then essentially you shut it off because you got 15 seconds with them until the next person comes in. Again, there's 2,000 people there. But, the reason I love that so much is because there's going to be a day one day, hopefully, in my head anyway, because I'm an optimist, that I will have that photo, and then there'll be an event where we may be co-speakers, or there'll be, this is in my head obviously, there's an event where we're both invited to, and I'll go back and I'll either reference that photo, or he'll be hopefully like, oh, you're Dan Thomson. Oh, I love your stuff, man. You created Circuit Band. Yeah. I use that to track my fitness. You know, that may happen in my head. It will happen. Yeah. Which is a funny thing. Yeah. Because the chances of it happening are probably like 0.8%. You know, nothing. But in my head, it's 100%. Yeah. So I get those little moments. That 15 seconds for me is priceless, because it means that is it sets a future pathway for later on. Because I know I'm going to want that photo one day, and I got it. Absolutely. Yeah. And you're personifying what this podcast is all about. You know, looking at the people that are in the place you want to be. Finding the details, going through the process of it, and living it out. Whilst it's not there, it's still like, you know, you can see it in your head, and you can believe it, and you can go through with it. And that's why I respect you as well, because I know that you feel that, and you have to internalize success, even if it doesn't exist yet. And New Zealand is not full of millionaires, and no matter where you grow up, it's unlikely that you're around millionaires all the time. There are a few key people that I was introduced to, or had, you know, I had friends whose dads had been extremely successful when I was like, you know, tiny little moments which were important to me, to setting a seed that told me I could be something more. Yeah. And I, as a teacher, as an educator, which I am sometimes as a relief teacher, as much as I can be, I try to instill a seed of possibility in kids. Yeah. Because that's essentially what it's all about. So my family, my mum and dad both have master's degrees. Yep. They're both working extremely hard to raise their 3 boys for 30 years. And now they retire, and they have their mortgage is paid off, they've got a nice big house, etc., etc. But they had to work for 40 years to get there, 30, 40 years to get there. And I saw that, and I'm like, okay, Mum and Dad, I respect you so much. You are so much smarter than I am. Yeah. How is it that you followed the perfect model, and you're still working at 65? Absolutely. I was like, whoa, how does that happen? You guys did it perfect. And here you are. Mum was quite stressed out working at some of her jobs, you know, throughout her career. So Dad was always working late hours and all that kind of thing. I was like, man, is that the recipe I want to follow as well? So I'm like, man, okay. So, and my point to that is, I didn't look to my family for motivation. Mm-hmm. You have to look elsewhere. Mm. And you have to align yourself with people who are living out what you want to live out. And now, because of YouTube and obviously all the other podcasts that are out there and stuff, we can virtually do that. So the same way someone follows the Kardashians and relates to them and tries to copy them, I look at Eric Thomas and I'm just like, well, I listen to the Guru talk, which I've done a million times. Mm-hmm. I can recite the entire thing right now. In terms of learning about, you have to want it as bad as you want to breathe, is one of the greatest statements I could ever think of. And I think that guy must just sit at home and be in a zone when he writes his stuff. Because when he was on Gary Vee on his podcast, he was unstructured with his thinking and his talking. But I imagine in his zone, when he goes back and starts thinking about what he's going to say to motivate kids and motivate his, his customers, his clients, he must just get in a space which is like so artistic and brilliant that he can communicate those ideas. Because those ideas are the things that keep me alive. So in terms of keep the dream alive, when he gets so stressful, and I'll just have a shower or sit in the bath and just listen to that stuff and just drown myself in it, just so you get out of the path and you're all motivated to work another 4 or 5 hours on a laptop. Mm-hmm. Whereas 20 minutes ago, you were like done. You're just like, man, this is so hard. I can't believe that didn't come through. That Les Brown, he's the guy, Les Brown, and he talks about this. That thing didn't come through. That person didn't answer their phone. This person ignored you, but he says that thing, I'm going to win, and it's like, well, yeah, you listen to that stuff, so you get beaten you go back to the drawing board in your mind and you reflect on it, and then you listen to that kind of content, and you're just like, okay, look, he did it.
Yeah,
I can too.
Yeah.
And you need that I can too person in your life, whether it's someone you don't know or someone you know. The guy I was referring to back in the day when I was at primary school was Dennis Chapman, who's an engineer in Christchurch, one of the most successful dudes in like the telecom space. Designed like a way to do power differently or communicate differently or whatever. Those green boxes on the side of the road, he had a part in that. And he was worth millions. And I was like, if that's what it takes, wow, it's possible. There's the seed of possibility right there. If he did it, why can't I? I'm a human being.
That's right.
Got a brain, you know. 98% of people out there just doing the regular stuff, teachers included, which is ironic because I wanted to be a teacher, but that was more for the travelling. But then in the back of your mind, you're like, hold on, if I can invent something and earn money while I travel, that's the win-win. Sweet. And that's there. The seed of possibility is probably the takeaway there. I can go on about this all day. I love it.
Yeah, and you say that about like trying to plant that in children, and one of my patient histories when I work with a lot of kids is what do you want to be, and many of them don't know, and that's where all it takes is no, that's fine. There's so much you can do. You can do anything. And Eric Thomas, when he's at, I think it's his own old school, and he's saying stop making excuses. Look at all these people around you giving you the best shot in life. You've got to be. You're here for a reason. Don't waste it. It's awesome.
I love that video as well at high school. That content makes people shiver. Yeah. Because it's so raw, but the truth to it is deep.
Yeah.
It's and I wonder if he planned it. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, did he come in like that? Did he wait for somebody to talk just so he could do that lecture? I'm like, it's perfect. Yeah. And it's true, and it's because of 98. Well, it's about 97%. I think 97% of people or ideas fail or whatever. And so I take that as 97% people don't really try it their hardest. Because I think if you follow through with whatever it is that you do to its fullest capacity, you have to win. I don't see it any other way. If you do whatever it takes, you must win. Because you'll just know more than anyone else in the world at that thing. And surely there are a million people out there who are interested in what you're interested in, so it must win. I don't know, it's this weird thing I have in my head. I just think if you go for it, you'll get it. But no, with the kids thing, it's just about ensuring they know it's possible, ensuring that their appearance not the limitation. That shouldn't be the ceiling. We talk about glass ceilings and feminism and gender and things like that and race, but the real glass ceiling stems from often what the parents instill in their kids, and they deem success as just having a mortgage and a house and all that kind of thing, which is fine, and that is fine. And to be honest, some days I'm just like sitting there, that would be a great life, because you're like, I don't mind working 19-hour days most of the time, but like, is there an easier way? Can I crack the code somewhere else? Yeah. But then you wouldn't trade it for the world once you have the successes. That's right. That you are completely 100% responsible for, and that's a powerful thing as well. But it's all about teaching the kids that anything's possible, trying to be a light for them, and connecting them as well with ideas. And before we move on to the next question, because I like to ramble on about these things, I had this one kid who was 12. He was the 7th best in maths for his age. He went to a school I was teaching at. He was the guy who would literally, I would teach the maths class, and he would be the guy I'd ask the answers for. So clever. And I was like, okay, well, you're like going to be MIT one day. Surely you're going to be this genius designing robots, changing the world. I was like, what are you passionate about? He's like, chess. I'm like, okay. I know you love chess. I understand. Your mind can probably see a million moves ahead, and you always win. I love that. Okay, but do you know who else is also good at chess? The guys who just designed Stripe, and they just sold for $8 billion, or they've just now got a stake of $4 billion each, and their brothers are 28 years old. Surely, so in my head, surely if he can do chess, okay, look, we can get him over to, okay, understanding that's just an algorithm. There are rules. Yeah. That algorithm can be translated over into coding. Yes. And programming and all that kind of stuff. So, obviously the parents have not realised there's another part of this world where he can be extremely successful, and they've realised he loves chess because he's good at it. This is what we're going to focus on, chess champion. Yeah. Whereas okay, we can actually change the course of human history by this guy's brain. How do we make that happen?
Yeah.
So I connected with guys like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and these brothers who did the Stripe. There's just thousands of examples now.
And one of Tim Ferriss's good mates is, he's sort of the inspiration. I don't know what the book's called, but it's about Charlie Munger, who's like a freak chess player.
Yeah.
And that's probably the greatest understanding of what crypto was this podcast that he did with his mate, who's a chess freak and like a strategy and also when Tim Ferriss talked about playing chess, this guy taught him finishing moves rather than starting out, and it was all it's just all about the process and the pattern recognition.
Exactly,
is what it was, and it's just it's such a cool way to think about it.
And that's it. And you think about the finishing moves, and you work your way back.
Yeah.
Same way you think about success. You think about what it is you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And you work your way back. You reverse engineer that.
Yes.
And it's so much easier. It's like Steve Jobs' dots quote.
Haven't heard it.
When you're going along your journey, you're just formulating dots, and you hope that when you look back one day, all those dots will connect. Mm-hmm. Into this beautiful pathway that got you there. But you don't know while those dots are connecting if it's making any sense. So if you kind of can in your head connect the dots and then work your way back, that part's a lot easier. But in terms of that chess again, like my brain is not algorithmically sound. Like rules for me and maths and all that stuff is not where my brain is at. But what I can do is I can connect dots. I can think very linear, very creatively. I can connect things from over here to over there. Analytically, not strong, but in terms of pulling ideas from one sphere into the other, and connecting relevant information in a split second, I can do that quite well. So that's my strength. So I often, as I'm speaking today, go off on tangents because I can't literally help it. Because my brain just it sparks up so much energy in different parts that I want to just release it into content.
Yeah, nice. And another thing I loved about that planting seeds is like people come to me for vision therapy, and they got this diagnosis of dyslexia.
Yeah.
First thing I say to them, have you heard of Richard Branson? Like straight up.
Yeah.
And then often you'll get the mum say, oh yeah, this child's dad is dyslexic and he's amazing. They can do all this stuff. It's like, well, exactly. It's not a limitation. It's just that it's actually can be a strength. It can be another way of thinking about things. It can be a way of thinking about things creatively and big picture, and that's what some of these people have. Hardship as children doesn't necessarily mean that in the long run. Gary Vee saying he can't read a book to save himself, can't even write his own book. He's the dictator.
Yeah, it is. To me, that is so relevant. It is so. It's those. It's very easy to say, okay, yeah, Richard has a rich dad, or whatever, or they're both dyslexic and they're very special people.
Yeah.
But once you realise, Steve Jobs said this too, the world is made up by people who are no smarter than you, and that is such a powerful statement because it's so true. And Ashton Kutcher paraphrased it. He was like in the famous MTV speech or whatever. But Steve Jobs said it, and you walk through life, and you try not to bump into any walls or change any things, and you kind of just coast on through. But once you realise that all the structures around you are made up by people who are no smarter than you, then you have the ability to change whatever you want to change. That's a powerful thing. People don't really realise that. They give other people too much credit.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because I'm now the example of that, and I'll give you an example of why that's the case. I achieved under NCEA in school, our education system for the international listeners. I achieved. That's it.
Yeah.
I got one excellence, probably
Before you go on, do you find that NCEA teaches you to do enough? That's how I felt. I went to university and I was like, oh yeah, I did enough. Got there and I was like, no, you didn't. You're 50%, mate.
So that's the point. I mean, without segueing too much into that, that's true. You do enough, you achieve. And I just achieved. Yeah. I did the bare minimum. I did homework last minute, every single time. I played sport. I went to the library on my own accord probably 5 times. Didn't care. But I had 25 and I had all this prior life experience.
Yeah.
And that's what Gary Vee says as well. say it's life experience first, then figure out what you want to do, and then do what you love. Yeah. You don't know what you love until you've done everything and figured it out. So I hit 25, I was like, shit, I'm actually quite old now. I want to. If my dream is to become successful and influential and an agent of change, which is what I want to be, then I've got to focus. I was doing army, university, work full time. I was doing all these things, which took up all my time. And I was half-assing everything. And I've done that. I realised I did that for 20 years. I was doing that my entire life. That's why I wasn't succeeding. I used to be one of the top readers when I was 5 or 6, like young, I know, tiny. But I was like at this reading age of like 13, 15. I was like, and then I just played PlayStation because it was fun. And I lost all that. But it's funny. But then now, 25, a guy who didn't achieve anything at math, engineering, any of the STEM subjects, except as a hobbyist of evolution, I guess, and biology, you get calls from MIT on Friday and at Harvard 2 weeks ago about your application for your your sensors that you're putting into your bands. Yeah. And you're like, okay, Harvard just called me. So you know what they go through to get to where they want to be. Yeah. And you're like, okay, well, they're professors and shit. Okay, that's pretty smart. And then MIT, who on the phone literally said, like, this is for a startup boot camp type stuff. Like, she said to me, "Dad, this is like the most amazing thing. How do you know all this stuff?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just think about it 24/7. Yeah. So when you look at a guy like me who literally, my favourite quote was that, Dan, what are you doing now, Dan? I'm like, I started a circuit band, designing a new resistance band. And then I'd go on a little bit, 2 minutes or so. Oh, Dan, that's awesome, man. Congratulations, man. It's so funny because last time I saw you were like drinking beer out of a shoe.
It's got to show you in case.
And I was like, that's a target right there. That's what I used to do. I used to not take shit seriously at all. and nowadays, the way I talk about my product and educate people on it, we're talking about some of the top trainers in the world who are seeking our advice and shit, and looking at our technology for the answer to their problems. You're just like, man, what a change! Yeah. What a change! It's completely going from one spectrum to the other in terms of your value proposition. And it's like, I was about to be a teacher, and I would have been a good teacher, but I wasn't a fan of like, okay, look, I'm going to get paid 47, 49, 51, 53K systematically until I'm good enough to be pulled out of the education system and into a management role, which is the worst thing about teaching, period.
That's why my dad left it.
Which is why a lot of males leave it, because you're in the game to teach kids in the first place, and you get into a managerial position, and it's a complete backwards approach to everything, which is, in principle, directly opposite to what we do, or what I do as an entrepreneur, and what you do as well, in terms of how you think. We are just, it's just a different, we don't operate in that scheme. Yeah. If we say the ceiling is there, it's there. I have no ceiling. Of my company, one day I want to sell it for an absurd amount of money. And that's unrealistic, but I don't care. It's where I decide to put my ceiling. You put the ceiling at me at my value per year at 50K, I start to ask questions. Is that what I'm valuing myself at? Yeah. Is that what the government would value my input at? If I'm teaching 30 kids a year how to become better people? Yeah. It's like, no, hell no. I'm going to become the best damn entrepreneur the world's ever seen. Structure lesson plans using my education knowledge and my pedagogy knowledge and all that kind of stuff, pedagogical knowledge and stuff. And I'm going to write lesson plans for that. Bunch up a whole lot of kids from around Christchurch or wherever it is, and do 2 hours after school teaching. Yeah. For far more money. Money is how we determine value in this society. So I guess it's only fair. But you can do an hour of the right work. Yeah. Or you can do 6 hours of just standardized education, it didn't appeal to me once I learned about the system. Once I learned that was a future for me, and I realised when the penny dropped that I was going to be a 30, 40 year teaching veteran. with no ability to be able to travel the world whenever I wanted to, or do whatever I wanted to whenever I wanted to do it, which I think is probably a dream that most people would be like, that's a pretty cool dream to have. But then again, going back to what the point we made the other day, or at the start of this about the execution of it, people are willing to say it, but they're not willing to follow through with it. For a while, I've been the guy I don't just say it, I do it. So in terms of saying, hey, look, I'm not going to limit my ceiling, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to work 50k and climb the ladder. I want more, so I'm going to go and try and chase more.
Yeah.
I think a lot of they say, Les Brown, they allude to the cemetery as the richest place on earth because people's ideas die with them, and that's so true.
Yeah.
The world would be a crazy cool place right now if everyone reached their potential.
Yeah.
And sure, I'm gonna try and change physical health and make people more active and mobile and more motivated to work out. Incentivized programs and that kind of stuff and all that. That's what we're going to look at in terms of my little niche that I look at, make people healthier. I like to know that there are millions of other people out there making my life better in some way because they're following their dream with the same amount of passion. So they're going to bring value to my life as well, and I'll reciprocate.
Nice.
So yeah.
Something you said about that, if you put in long enough, you're going to win. And having an older brother myself, do you think that's like one of the things you learn is that you're going up against someone that's superior, often physically superior, they've got a few more skills, but you just keep nutting it out, and then eventually you win. And beating your older brother is like the greatest time ever. Do you think that's something that shows up today and maybe establish that thinking?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think of those memes on Facebook or the news stories that come out and say the middle child's always this, or the youngest child's this, and the top child's this. It never relates. It's just sort of bullcrap. But yeah, in terms of overcoming adversity, absolutely. I will turn a no into a yes. I don't care how long it takes. I believe that no can be a yes.
Yeah.
People take a no and they're just like, oh, I tried. Whatever. If we can make that no into a maybe, we can do that. Yeah. We can get that maybe to a yes. And that's the thing. It's the adversity. It's the ability to think outside the box. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna beat my brother at a boxing match. There's no way.
Yeah.
But if we say, "Oi, you're gonna go outside and we'll throw berries at each other," I can hit him in the face, and I can still throw quite hard as a 9-year-old and he's 12 because that's how our family grew up. We could throw things. So we're taking I see his strength, and then I look at mine, and I'm like, okay, you can throw hard, Nick, but I can dodge. I'm small. I'm agile, and I can throw accurately. And that's kind of a cool analogy for a big company versus you. Yes, they're stronger than you, so don't get in the ring with them. But you can be outside the ring, and you can be smart about this. Yeah. And you learn about the outside the box thinking, and the stakes are higher too. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it is, but because my motivation was greater, maybe I threw more accurately at him because the stakes were higher. Yeah. If I missed, he would hit. So I'd have to win before he hit. So knowing that, I had to really focus. And that's another good analogy for the business as well. When you get that chance to strike, you got to take that. So the other one, can't hit you.
That's right. So following on from that, what was a characteristic of you at 5 that shows through today?
I was talking to an old family friend last night in Wellington. I stayed at their place, hadn't seen them for 15, 16 years. I just rang them up on the ferry. I was like, hey, look, this is Daniel Thomson. I used to know you. And he's known me from then. Yeah. Between 5 and 12, and I was his son's mate, because this is the parents of this kid, Tom. So I haven't seen them for literally 15 years. Yeah. So they saw the kid, and then they saw the success, or where I'm going at the moment. So for them it was simple. Oh, you're outgoing, and you could talk to people, and you're positive to be around. And then And then this all makes sense. I knew you were going to be doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, was I? I felt like I was always like a bit down and a bit like, like not good at anything because I was always comparing myself to other people and I wasn't as good as them. I was like in the class, I was the youngest, smallest in the class. Everyone else was more developed and cooler. So I was like, I'm inferior.
Yeah.
All the time. So I had this inferiority complex, I guess. Not a serious one, but enough.
Mm-hmm.
Which definitely helps. I think if you think you're the best.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you're the best, you're never going to win. Or you're not going to be, you won't stay at the top for long if you think you're the best. I think that you need to understand that you're an underdog all the time. You've got to keep striving, keep pushing. But for him, who hadn't seen me in a while, he was like, I knew you're going to be this guy, Dan. Like, it just made sense to me. It doesn't surprise me at all. And then, to me, I'm like, you missed. This is different for me. I don't feel like I was like that.
Yeah.
But maybe there was something. I just knew that I was a good reader when I was back in the day, and then I threw it away because I played PlayStation, like I said. I found Madden.
Yeah.
I found Tony Hawk 2 Pro Skater.
Yeah.
And then that helped us get out of dishes with the old man. Well, Dad, you want to play PlayStation? All right, play for dishes. Sweet as. And that became, our value system in the home. My brain's crazy. If I just touch on the value systems of parents and kids as well, kids are often motivated by what their parents encourage. Okay, so in our family, it was catching a ball, throwing a ball, playing cricket, getting runs, scoring runs in cricket or whatever, which is funny because the parents' value system will dictate how the child thinks.
Yeah.
So it was when I was fortunate to have parents who taught us how to read, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
So our games that we would play back in the day, when I was like 3 to like 6, 7, we would have our books every night before bed, and Dad would make a point of that. And then we'd play a map game. We'd have this big giant world map, and then we'd have to race to see who could find the country fastest.
Yeah. Which is
it's competition, but it's also educational, I guess. And then I could win it because Nick would be over there, my older brother, and then I would be over here. And then I had the North American map, the South American map, and like half of Europe, and he would have like New Zealand, Australia. So then Dad wanted me to win. He would just choose like California. So I was closest, so I could go boom. And then, then you start to look at what's important, and then Dad and Mum and Dad installed this value of education, and from a young age that was pretty important. And then and then it turned to sport because as my older brother started succeeding in sport in a massive way, it became clear that was how we got the most positive reinforcement from our family. So I tried to chase that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at like getting runs in cricket or getting a good catch or like trying your absolute best in sport. And it's just funny because I can play now every sport under the sun. I just can't do math very well. I can't draw pictures very well because I can't play music.
Yeah.
Because that's how I wasn't rewarded.
Yeah.
That wasn't part of our culture.
Yeah.
So But in terms of what that means today, I've got no idea. All I can say is that team sports, you relate to people. Reading, you can consume knowledge. And I think they're the 2 ingredients that you need.
Yeah.
In all honesty, if you can relate to people and consume knowledge, what else do you need to do?
Yeah. Awesome. So you say 25 that you're going to do something great. Probably your frontal cortex kicked in and you thought of the consequences of what you're doing today with what things are going to look like 10 years away. What's something that over the last sort of year and a half you've changed your mind about?
Well, so I'm 28 now, so has that changed my mind about? Okay, so definitely I left the army at 25. I left a lot of sport at 25. Club cricket, for example, like the senior grade, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't do that. There's too many hours out of my week. So I cut that. I cut work. I cut that. I went home to live with my parents.
Yeah.
To avoid paying the rent for the meantime. I would minimal rent and a roof over my head, and just laptoped it. Learn how to build a website.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question was: are you saying like in terms of the year and a half, stuff I look back on that I haven't been doing, or what? So,
probably within this idea of circuit band, probably what's an idea that you had at the start that you've disregarded?
Lots of them.
Lots of them. Yeah.
When you obsess about stuff, it's like you're carving a rock.
Yeah.
There's going to be times where you realise that you've just made a mistake, and then you're going to turn your shape into something else to make it into a success. In terms of how circuit band started, it's called circuit band because of circulation band. That's rule number one. Okay, that's point number one there. So the buckle system was designed to detach it and reattach it into a loop, so you could wear it on a plane and then exercise your calf muscle. That is literally what circuit band was at an early stage. And it's a really lame story to tell because people want to know that you did this for travel, you did this for sports performance or something cool. But nah, it was because DVT was a problem for my mum, and she always used to complain about it. And then a lady next to me had DVT too, so I was like, oh yeah, well that must be a problem that still exists today. Let's solve that for a start. Use latex bands to do it. People over 40 who have DVT, most notably, have poor mobility above the shoulders.
Yeah.
So you can't, taking a full loop band, which is pretty much known to everyone, every gym, every physiotherapist, you have your power bands that are full loops. Putting that over your whole body in an aeroplane was not good. Being able to unclick it, reattach it behind your back, put your feet into it, generate the force needed to contract the interior veins of your lower leg to, put the muscle, obviously, when that contracts, pushes on the veins, pushes blood back up. Happens when you walk, does not happen when you sit down. That was a problem we were solving for 3 or 4 months. We were discussing patents in retail, distribution for this. Were we getting anywhere? No. Hell no. Because I knew nothing.
Yeah.
I knew nothing, but you don't need to know anything. You just need to know that you want to do it.
Yeah.
And then once you realise that you're going to do it at all costs, it doesn't matter if you know anything or not, because you know that will come. And then after discussions with patent attorneys at James and Wells, who just see me when I walk in, I'm this most motivated guy ever. They just give me their free time. And we sat down and we were like, okay, we can't probably patent this because it's a band and a buckle system. But what we could do is patent the corresponding attachments that go with it. What do you mean? Oh, well, if you had handles or whatever. I'm like, kidding me? Could have handles on it? What?
Light bulbs.
Whoa! So then you had your handles. And then you're like, and this, I'm really shrinking this process because what seems obvious now was not obvious back then.
Yeah.
A double adjustable buckle, which you don't even know exists. A double adjustable buckle is when you have, on a bag, you have 2 adjusters on one side, the male and female part of the buckle. Usually you only have one adjuster on one side where it's all fixed. Then you have a double adjuster which you can change the length. So we needed to, we had an adjustment system. We needed to have the band stay in and it being adjustable. So we needed a double adjustable buckle. I'm an expert at buckles now because I need to be, and I can source them like a man possessed. But that took a month, 2 months to even get that. Then it took a month in Hong Kong to get enough samples where we can actually go through them individually and work out the best one. People don't realise that. They just think this stuff happens. Yeah. And you're like, it does not happen. This buckle was the best. It was tested. It was engineered to handle the most load, 68 kilo, as opposed to most other buckles having a 20 kilo load. And in fact, after we ascertained that handles would be a part of the system, we needed a buckle that would take load, especially our strength as a family of athletes and sports people. In fact, and when I did my initial sampling from Alibaba, I did a shoulder press in front of a friend. I said, this is going to be the coolest invention ever. Lifted it up and it snapped. It almost cut my arm.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so sorry I gave you a fright because the band hit the floor. And I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. And then you learn that and you're like, okay, well, I swear to God, that is never going to happen ever again to anybody, let alone me.
Yeah.
So that became real. I was like, okay, well, the sampling process is not going to happen from China over to here. I'm not going to pay $60 a DHL Express bag every time I want to sample something. Let's go. I had a cousin in Hong Kong. I was like, sweet, I'll stay as long as it takes to get the samples and everything from Hong Kong. So I went over there and when you're actually in country, when you're across the border, they can overnight you whatever you want. Pretty much as a sampling process. Mm-hmm. If you're in Hong Kong, they take you really seriously. If you're in New Zealand, not so much. You're just a dreamer. In Hong Kong, you're like, oh, this guy must be serious. He's got a place in Hong Kong. That's rich. He must be worth some money. So having that huge. Again, using your strengths. using your strengths as huge. And I was able to sit down there and work out that. And I went across the border into China, learned how all that works, and carted 2 40-kilo suitcases of product back over the border and put it on the plane into New Zealand. I've got scars to prove it of my knuckles, of what it's like to carry handleless and wheelless suitcases across the country over 4 trains up a massive ass hill called Lama Island in Hong Kong. And because I didn't want to pay the shipping. Because I'm cheap. And then I didn't want to and then I put it in my suitcase and I'm like, how much does it cost? This is my extra luggage. What does it cost me? They're like, $600. I'm like, shit, probably cost me the same. but I now had 90 kilo worth of luggage instead of 25. But yeah, that's it started from that. It started from a thing to solve DVT, and then it went into that, which then we could actually sell that. And we had a mesh bag at the start, just a mesh bag and put all the kit in, and then you move it off. And that was the standard. That was our MVP. And we needed that to be the MVP. And we sold it accordingly for $30, no margin. Pretty much a freemium model. Like, all my time was just pro bono, and they got the kit. But then through that, we learned all these mistakes, and we learned all these, the consumer had no cost to bear, really. There was no, on their end, it was like low risk. So if the product didn't feature or function as well as they thought it might, they're not exactly mortgaging the house to pay for it. It's the $30. And so we charged a low price. We got all the information back. We got, okay, did that break? Did it? Okay, why did it break? It worked well. Why did it work well? All this consumer marketing kind of validation was going on in the background while we were just looking to build the website a bit better and make everything work. And then came time to order our second lot of product, which then got us going in February 2015. And then it was, and then down the track, we started looking at putting sensors into these bands late 2015. No idea this was possible. Again, you're going from point A, which was a crappy product. I've still got the prototype, mud. You look back and you're like, oh, I was an idiot. And then you go into, that later 2014 and then 2015, and then you're like, hold on, I can put sensors in these things. That's pretty important. Can that be done? Is that possible? These are so many questions. And then you go about, there's a lot of 3 a.m. conversations with yourself about how do we do that. But then because of the experiences in China, because you understand manufacturing, sourcing, design at a basic level, you can start putting all those ideas together in your head, and you don't need to call up anybody else for the information because it's already there. You've got that at your disposal. You just need to put it together and collate it into a package. And you can have an understanding of that could actually work. I could get that done because that already exists, and that could work into there. And I've got a whole bunch of prototypes as well. We started looking at in terms of putting sensors in there, and we learned that the top dial elastomer transducer company, which is essentially a fancy name for a stretch sensor, was up in Auckland. We didn't know this. I was their only local customer. I was this guy who had the equivalent of nothing. But I didn't talk like that. I talked like I had everything. Yeah. I was the answer to all their problems. They looked at me like, okay, well, this guy's enthusiastic as shit, but okay. It's like, we'll let you play for a while. You can go and do it, Dan. Off you go. Yeah. Knock yourself out. That was kind of that. And then, they were full of PhDs and engineers, and I was this kid with teaching degree and enthusiasm.
It's nice to be.
They take us more seriously now.
Nice.
But, then we found a way. It took 18 months. And you started, a famous story was I got denied from Callaghan Innovation 3 times in Christchurch, told, why do you have IP? IP means nothing. This means nothing. This viscerally annoys me, this conversation. It's to a point where I'm like, I think about it, and I connect deeply to the moment where I had a meeting. I was so enthusiastic, and this guy tells me, who didn't understand a thing about fitness, that I couldn't receive grants from the government because nothing I did was important. And you're like, no, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, you wait weeks for these meetings to happen, and you're like, and you leave the meeting so disappointed. And then you got to somehow wake up the next morning and just and find a way to be optimistic after hearing that 3 times over months, being like, please, like, I wanted to explain this in more detail. I feel last time he didn't get it. But he did get it. He just didn't want to get it. Went to Auckland, 2016, early I think it was, and we had customers by then. We had vendors for the military, All Blacks, so Aussie cricket team by that time. We were looking at the Les Mills thing as well. Les Mills, New Zealand, the gym chain. So we had certification courses in the pipeline by then. So we were starting to move forward. I went to Auckland. I'm like, hey, look, we deserve to be under the grant scheme for Callaghan Innovation. You got a moment to have a chat? Turned up, no appointment, no nothing. Within an hour and a half, I walked out of there with a verbal agreement that we would get R&D costs subsidised by half if we did all the work internally through Callaghan, which was great for me because I didn't have an engineering background. They had the engineers, they had robotic engineers to help us out and consult with us for a short period of time. But I guarantee 100% of people wouldn't have taken that step. There's no, like, I was like to my mate in Auckland, because we were both up there for this New Zealand flag football tournament, which I joined up to, because it may have included free flights to Auckland. Okay, I saw again. Okay, rock up on the Friday morning, do your meetings, Saturday, Sunday practice, team, all that kind of stuff. Monday, fly out late, Monday mornings, Monday meetings and stuff like that. But I was walking around with my mate. I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm going to go to Callaghan Innovation real quick. I got a feeling. I'm going to get into the head office, right on the quay, right on the waterfront." Walked in there, sit on the couch in the foyer. Are you okay? Like looking like vulnerable. Are you okay? Yeah. Oh, look, I've got this great this product. It's I just need to talk to someone about grants. That's all. And they ring out the national customer manager. The guy who I was 6 rungs up the ladder from the guy I talked to in Christchurch. And because I played American football and he was the head of baseball in New Zealand, we were able to relate on a whole different level. So I was no longer as the person wanting to get money from the government. I was a guy who could relate to his challenges of running an American, managing or participating in an American sport inside New Zealand, where there were a whole other list of limitations. So we could build a rapport. And I walked out of there with this grant, this verbal agreement, like I said. And I went home. I went back, and I was like, "Hey, mate, awesome news! I'm going to get the grant. I'm going to get the subsidisation for our R&D costs. Massive. After being told by Christchurch that it wasn't important what we were doing, and that was a huge hit because our whole future really did hinge on that agency being part of us. Because saying that you're aligned with the government if you're innovating is huge. Having their backing and their support is massive, especially in the States, which is all privatised. If you have the government helping you in the States, it's a big deal. So because they live in their own microcosm, they don't know that other countries are more public. So you say to them, "Hey, look, we're vendors for the military, and the government supports us, and they run our R&D for us." You're like way up here. You're still playing in the minor leagues, but to them, you're like, the government's helping you, which is a distant concept. But again, it's about leverage. It's about you leverage every single success that you can possibly get your hands on, and you just got to somehow ignore the people who just say that it's not important because, the conversation. I mean, I've had conversations with the head of Callaghan Innovation now.
Yeah.
I get invited to their events. I get looked after very well. Because they feel it. They know the adversity you have to overcome to get to where I've got. But in the early stages, looking at it like, Dan, IP is not important. It's not really going to be a factory. Like, people are going to copy your stuff, and it's only as good as the money you have to defend it, which is the cliches of all cliches when you get as an inventor or someone who's developing IP. Someone's always going to tell you, "Can you defend the patent?" And it's like, if that was the attitude of every single person in the world, nothing would get done. Because no one has the resources really until they're massive to defend a patent. Because it costs millions of dollars. But you can throw it out there. Yeah. And a patent's a patent. You've got some new technology, people are using it, you've got market fit, you're all good. And then now every meeting I have, do you have IP? Do you have IP? Dan, do you have IP? And I say, of course we do. We have this, 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 and we spent this much money on it. And they're like, great, because that's what's most important. And it's like, I knew that, because I read so much information about that. But this dickhead's telling me.
Not
a dickhead, just misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding, which I obviously have taken to heart a little bit.
Yeah.
But then that's part of the journey as well. So without touching on the negatives too much, you're just going to hit adversity. You're just going to hit people, or you're just going to come into contact with people who just do not share the same vision as you because they're in different markets.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them. Focus on, your silo, your vertical, whatever you want to call it, and succeed in there and talk to the people within that space, and that's where you get the best feedback from. And when you have to deal with other people who aren't part of your culture, your vertical, whatever, just if they don't understand what you're trying to do, then don't take that to heart. Start taking it to heart when you're talking to people inside your space who you respect, who just don't get it. That's a good sign that you're probably on the wrong path, and you may need to adjust what you're doing. But if you're getting negative feedback from somebody who's not in your industry, and that's what Gary Vee talks about too, and your parents and your family and friends don't quite get what you get, then that's fine. Just take it, sit in the bath, listen to your motivational videos for a while, and push on, and push on, and just push on, and push on, and push on, and that's pretty much the secret. Again, if you want it bad enough, you'll get it. It's a waiting game. It's like the quote I always think about is Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
How geology is the study of pressure and time. That's how Andy Dufresne broke out of the prison. It's pressure and it's time. One hammer at a time, one knock at the door. Eventually that wall is going to be tunneled through, or that door is going to come down.
Yeah.
And or someone else is going to open that door for you.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a study of pressure and time, and applying pressure every single day for as long as it takes until you get the reward.
Nice.
That's the battle.
Shawshanking. So what did you learn 3 times speaking to the same person and getting nowhere? 1 time speaking somewhere else to the same company, getting a much better result. Was there any sort of takeaway from that you do differently, do you think?
Yeah. Go to the top.
Yeah.
Learn who you need to talk to.
Yeah.
And
decision makers, right?
Decision makers, absolutely. People need to earn your respect too. It's not just about you trying to contact anyone and everyone. They've got to also be of value to you. You have to look at them and study them as a person and say, actually, no, you can't help me. So you find the people in that industry or that organisation who you can relate to or who you can possibly help you, and you go after them, and you make an effort with them. Learn about them. Go on LinkedIn, Instagram, all that kind of thing. So when the conversation comes up, you can relate on that level. But yeah, go to the top, absolutely. Unfortunately, in Christchurch, Auckland is kind of where the top is.
Yeah.
So more often than not, in some cases, Christchurch has a few little gems down there which we utilise, where the head offices are based.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large, decision-making, meetings, seminars, networking events, award ceremonies, all based in Auckland. So you got to pick your battles, pick your people, and then invest in meeting those people who can make decisions. If you're swimming in this tiny wee pond, you're going to get nowhere.
Yeah.
Because the big fish are where they are.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and New Zealand's a small fish in some respects compared to other big fish around the world.
Yeah.
Because this is not a community now of just New Zealand. This is a global thing.
Yeah. So
yeah, you have to pick the right people, go to the top, and then if you make a positive connection with that person at the top, you leverage that to its fullest extent, so you can get the next connection as someone else at the top.
Yeah.
This is how we get the meetings with Apple, Harvard, MIT, all these people, because we say, look, we've talked to this person, we've sold to this person, we've sold to this person, these people are trying it, and they're like, oh my god.
It builds your credibility.
It builds your credibility. They don't know you from a bar of soap.
Yeah.
But they want to know you after the conversation's finished. And then they research you, they find out your journey, and they get more involved. And that's why I have some amazing conversations, because I have so many intangibles in my back pocket now.
Yeah.
And ways to relate to people. It's almost unfair. They talk about the military I deployed. Educational space, which a lot of people are teachers. I'm a teacher. Chinese sourcing, I'm ambassador for Alibaba. you're selling a sports team in the US, great. We have affiliations with some top teams. We've sold to some top teams. High performance sport. Yeah, this guy's talking about it. You've just got to have those responses ready to go.
Yeah.
Those people that you can count on to leverage. So you can create a rapport as quickly as possible with that person. Because at the end of the day, it's about relationships and consuming knowledge.
Sure.
So build relationships.
Yeah.
Don't burn any bridges, and find the value in people, because you can't do everything yourself. Some people have the keys to the doors, and you just got to relate as best you can to those people and get them on your side and get them on your story. Let them feel what you're about, so they can. And they'll want to join you. If you're convincing enough, they will want to join you. So many people, I'm just like, man, you want to help us? You want to like align with us? You want to collaborate with us? But you're this person. We're just this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because we are deeper than just a product. We're a story. We represent Will Smith. We represent an idea. We represent possibility, which is another great quote from Will Smith in terms of what he talks about. We represent 1% of people who are just after it at all costs, and people want to work with 1%.
Nice. And so you touched on it there, and I was going to try and bring it up, but you beat me to it. When we touched base about doing this, it was right when you got that email from Apple, and that was one of the messages you were going to bring across here, is how you get an email from Apple and how you then end up going and visiting them. Is that when you're going this year or
next year?
Next year.
It's all. Again, it's a yes, but it's not set in stone yet.
Yeah.
But it will be, because of the way we are.
Yeah.
/ I am. That meeting came about because, have you seen the movie Serendipity?
Yeah.
Serendipity it's about creating circumstance, random circumstance coming together as a positive result. I don't really believe in fate or serendipity. I just believe in being in the right place all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's the wrong time, sometimes it's the right time. But the more you're there, the more chance you get. So I was in LA at the Fitness Expo, or was it the Idea Fitness Convention or something like that, or the ESPYs or something like that.
Yeah.
And these are awards, whether it was Idea Fit, which is the longest running expo in the world, or whether one of the largest, or whether it was ESPYs, it doesn't matter, because the same people go there that you want to talk to. There are some gems in that crowd, and I'm by myself. I don't have a date, or a business partner, or someone I can just sit at a table with and talk to and feel comfortable with. I am on my own. The only way I can possibly have fun is by talking to other people. So I've already put myself in a position where I have to go out there and explore and talk to new people. If the common mistake of going to networking events is that you bring your team.
Yeah. And
what happens is you stay in your team, because that's what we're designed to do as human beings. If you don't give yourself the chance to do that, if you're an individual, then you're going to go out there and you're going to network. It's just the way it is. And yeah, don't network after too many beers either, because it's going to cost you. So I learned to stay very sober at events like that. But just by the way, because those Dunedin days, you like to hydrate. It's insane, especially at networking events when it's all free. You're like, okay, cool. No, you learn. This is more about, you're there for a purpose. Anyway, so no, I was wandering around the the hotel next to the convention center in LA, one of the top ones there, and in the lobby, and I was like, oh hey, you guys like fitness? Oh hey, what do you guys? Oh, do you guys go to the event or whatever it was today? And they were like, oh hey, oh I love your accent, New Zealand. Where are you from? And that's all they want to know. They don't want to know about why you're here, who you are. They want to know your story, like where you're from. Like, you sound interesting. That's the first thing. From New Zealand. Oh, great. Oh, so you guys are you here for the Idea Fitness Convention or the ESPYs? Oh, yeah, no, we're enjoying it. I'm like, oh, what do you guys do? Oh, well, she's the general manager of the hotel, and I work for Apple. And I'm like, you work for Apple? No. What part of Apple? Oh, I do like the fitness programming. So it could have been any position at Apple. Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees. The fitness the head of programming, the one who used to work in group fitness and classes and all sorts of stuff. And she programs, she helps and advises for their fitness. And you're like, I'm just like, okay, well, look, do you mind if I have like 20 seconds of your time to talk about something with you? Because I'm here from New Zealand because I designed something new for fitness. They're like, sure, go ahead. Like, and then you're in because they like you already because you're different and interesting. You've got a smile on your face and you dress well. You come across as a friendly person, which is the key.
And you say your elevator pitch is 20 seconds.
It's not 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's 20 seconds to get the point across, and then it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Once you have got enough of the point across, you have to be succinct enough with your message that they want to hear more. But you have to be a good person first. Yeah. You are not a salesman. You are someone who's just someone who's a nice person. Yeah. And they're going to give you a chance. And that's it. It's how a lot of our success hinges on this type of circumstance. And you may call that luck, and that is. I'm not going to sit here and say I write different addresses for apple.com every 5 seconds and try and get a response. I think some of it is luck, but some of it's literally relentless skill and attitude, like the Alibaba contact, which is Alibaba, well, that Alibaba.com rivals Apple in terms of market cap space. Massive company, like Apple's worth $1 trillion or whatever, but Alibaba's worth $400 billion. No one knows about them because they're in the East, not the West, in terms of China and all that kind of stuff. But because our conversations with a new company called Flexport in the States, Flexport do logistics from China to the US, which helped us get into Amazon. They provide a very good service for that. Because of that contact, Alibaba asked them as a Y Combinator company, as a startup company themselves, hey, look, do you guys know any cool people we can talk to about product sourcing and procurement? And then Flexport, who have just had conversations with me, say, oh, we know a guy from New Zealand, Dan Thomson. And then the general manager reaches out to me about Alibaba, US. Yeah. And he's like, hey, Dan, we heard you like to do this stuff. Would you like to arrange a phone call with the team? A phone call and talk about how Alibaba helps, or could help, or how you use it. And, you prep for that phone call. It's, for them, no prep. For you, 3 hours. I'm not a bookworm, but when it comes to that kind of stuff, I am. Yeah. Let's learn about Alibaba. Let's. Well, I'm already using it, but let's understand the platform in its full depth, because this is an opportunity. I put together a strategic plan for Alibaba selling to Australia and New Zealand, with a user profile of our customers inside New Zealand, who we are as a people. We look at the problems of Alibaba and sourcing, and why people end up on third-party channels like Skype and Gmail as opposed to staying within the site. People wouldn't care to do this. Yeah. They just wouldn't give a shit. But that's because I'm not other people. I know that this is an opportunity. Get a meeting. I say, before the phone call, I'm going to forward you something. Slides of what they can do. And we discuss that over the phone. Their weaknesses, how they can add value in some areas. Dad, this is fantastic. This is awesome. Did you come up with this? I'm like, yeah. Can you come up to, we'd love to interview you. Are you going to come up to San Mateo, our head office in America? Yeah, sure. Go to San Mateo and get interviewed and become part of an ambassador for their buyer network. Become part of their focus group and advise on their next developments and stuff like that. Is that luck? No.
In 3 hours have you done?
It's 3 hours and then some after that. But that's not luck. That's grasping an opportunity with both hands and being a nice enough person to Flexport and engaging with them, so that they go and tell Alibaba or some other person about you. Yeah. That's what your brand is. And you're not in the room. What are they saying about you as a brand, as a person? And I am a brand, and my product's a brand, but it's one as the other. So this is why it's important when you have these meetings with Flexport. You better be you switched on. You're getting things done. You're enthusiastic. You're a long-term customer. You're everything. Your value. So then if something comes up, serendipity. If it comes up and they might say your name, and you might become part of the few that get to look at stuff before anyone else in the world for a $400 billion company. And then now we get meetings, and I've got a meeting with them in California next month, and I've got there's a chance if you're on the east coast of China, where their head offices are, or wherever their head offices are, if you're over there, you can just request a meeting with them in their head office and go and see them and go and talk to people. And that's you're in. And then because of people I know now as well, in like in the New Zealand consulate and US consulate, and all these people who are like interested in what we do, I can now invite them to the US embassy in China, sorry, the New Zealand embassy in China, and have the meeting in there. Now I'm gonna look like a complete boss. Yeah, and this is not luck.
Yeah,
that is calculated.
Yeah,
understanding what potential is and who people are, what keeps people going. So then, and that meeting will happen one day inside the New Zealand embassy in China with Alibaba product team who want to be there, and we'll discuss all kinds of things. You know, we'll start looking at Chinese New Zealand trade, Timor Global, Timor, communication channels, branding, contact, IP, contacts, all kinds of stuff. And that's, did you get that by accident? No, you don't. Most people think that's luck, but that's calculated potential.
Yeah.
Alibaba didn't know that was going to happen. I did.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting.
Absolutely.
I hope I'm answering your questions here.
No, that's fantastic. We have been talking for like an hour and a half. Been fantastic. Where can people find you and Circuban? Website, Circuban, Instagram, right? Dan Thomson Instagram.
Yeah, we're pretty busy. Instagram, I am Daniel Thomson is my Instagram handle. Twitter, not so much. The Circuban website, it's quite informative. I would just email me, danielthompson@circuban.com. It's funny because I'm an advocate for teaching. I love to educate people on this stuff, but people don't want my knowledge.
Yeah,
they're like, I'm like, by the way, if anyone wants like this stuff, if anyone wants help with this stuff, like China sourcing, selling, Amazon, IP, everything.
Yeah.
I'm good for a phone call. I've chatted to people for hours before on the phone, probably with thousands of dollars on consulting. But people just aren't. They don't. I don't know what it is. Why don't people just ask for the phone call?
Probably that's one of their limiting beliefs that Dan's so great. He's done so much. He's not on my level. He's not going to be interested in what I want to do. But that's what this is all about. That you started. 2.5 years ago.
As a Muppet.
Yeah. Giving things to DVT.
There you go. Yeah. I'll have you know that we did actual research on that.
Yeah.
1,000 millivolts of activity come out of your calf muscle when you do that. Who would know that? No one.
You could measure it now too.
Well, yeah, we did. That's right. Measure it. But we actually had EMG machines hooked up. Because I emailed some guy and I was like, hey, look, you're a researcher for UC. Can I come in and test the voltage? Yeah. So, did the ankle circles that the plane prescribes? Oh, yep, cool. 300 millivolts. Circuban added 1,000 millivolts. There's your research done. 3 times the contraction. Sweet as. But yeah, no, I'm always driving places to place. Emails a bit harder. I like phone calls. The more I discuss these ideas with people, the stronger they get within my own head, and the better I get at telling my story. And that's positive, because the more you can tell your story, the better it is, because the more you structure your ideas, and my ideas, believe it or not, are getting more structured. Even though I still go on tangents, I'm getting better at deciding what to talk about and how long for. Podcasts are a bit of free range. We're just going, but yeah, so it's good. But talking and teaching is everything.
Yeah,
you need to be able to articulate your ideas succinctly, and that's part of that is just talking to people who know nothing. And in some cases, the less people know, the better, because then we can actually start to break it down. And the more I break it down for them, the more I understand it.
Yeah.
And the more I say, oh man, I actually didn't do that very well. Maybe I need to go back to my own practice and start looking at what I can do better in the sales and marketing side. Because I know you should be using a CRM. And I would tell that to them, but I don't use one myself. Maybe I should. Okay, I'm going to go on. So it's by talking to people about this stuff, I will become better. Mm-hmm. So people's got to reach out and have a yarn.
Cool. So we'll link those in as always. And you've probably dropped 1,000 bombs here today, but what's something that you could leave us with?
I like Will Smith's quote again. Like, represent an idea, represent possibility. Plant the seed, grow it, don't stop. If you believe it, give it enough time, it'll happen. And I don't mean just like sit on it and wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
No, every day you need to somehow advance yourself towards that goal.
Yeah.
Every day I do not advance myself towards a goal, I feel like I've lost.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm going backwards. So that's very important when you go to bed at night, that I've actually achieved something. And if it's a day off, I'll still feel like I've achieved it because I'm mentally resting or something. I'll justify it, I'll wrap it around some justification where I'm rested now, so I can be better tomorrow. But I'm always thinking before I go to bed, did I do enough? I don't try to do it. I don't have a checklist. I just feel it because I'm so passionate about the thing I'm trying to do. So I just innately reflect it all the time.
Mm-hmm. And how do you keep stable? Like, your life's chaotic. How do you keep stable, keep grounded?
It's only now that I really, like, I guess what you're probably alluding to more is the relationship type of thing. Because when you take someone else along with you for the ride, it's uphill, it's downhill, it's roller coaster stuff. Bad days, good days, too busy, 30-hour days, 16-hour days, never really a 9 to 5.
No.
I purposefully, I know I'm not smart enough to do everything all at once. So one of the key things was, hey, look, well, let's just stop looking for relationships for the next 18 months or something, or a year. Let's put what I'm doing on hold so I can focus on one thing. And now I'm in a position much more where we achieve a lot without me actually having to be there. So I'm in a position now where I can actually look at having a relationship again with, somebody and share what we do. But yeah, absolutely. You got to find a way around that. You got to look at your own life. You got to look at your own strengths, and a relationship is a strength. It wouldn't be a weakness.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys are the right. If you've found the right person, they will know. They'll be able to come along with the journey for you. But yeah, it's about looking very carefully at your strengths and weaknesses, and realizing early on how much leeway you're going to get. I think.
Yeah.
So I gave myself all the leeway in the world. That was I didn't think I was very smart at all. So I knew everything is on hold. Eric Thomas said it best. You have to sacrifice for what you are, for what you will become, and then you'll be successful. And I took that to heart, in a serious way. Again, not just talk, follow through. And but yeah, it's a roller coaster ride. You got to connect with people who understand your journey, understand you as a person, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and Tony Robbins, your primary day, just check your day out, unwind.
Again, tonight, no. I know. Put it this way: when I find people that I hang out with and I don't think about work, I know they're the real deal. Yeah, that's how deep this goes. If I'm with somebody and I'm not thinking about work, they are amazing people to me. Yeah. Because if I'm with somebody who I'm not in love with or connecting with, my mind will be thinking about the packaging, or thinking about the gaps. I'm like, no, the trademarks. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna bring out that person tomorrow. But when it's in terms of Tony Robbins, he's a very structured voice and a very chaotic mindset. Yeah. What he talks about is hugely positive. He treats success and failure as the same in terms of it's all just one success. Failure, success waiting to happen type stuff. Don't blame, if you're going to blame the people for the bad, blame them for the good as well, which is very important as well. Attributing success is not just a reflection of you, it's a reflection of everyone else who's helped you as well. So when people are quick to attribute blame, but not quick to attribute success to others, which you've got to do. You've got to realise that people are the value. That's cool. But Tony Robbins, again, for real, bathtub podcast stuff right there. That's the stuff that you literally bathe your mind in to keep it steady and positive, because otherwise you got no chance. Yeah. You are what's in your brain, and you've got to be positive, and you've got to find a way to be positive. Man, I've had some bad days. Yeah. And everyone's going to say that. Elon Musk, he's crashed rocket ships. He must go home and have the meanest meditation sessions. And because he's the extreme entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Me, I'm just like, oh, that did not go well to do. Oh, man. Somehow.
You back tomorrow?
I'm back that night.
Yeah.
8 o'clock. I'm headaches, stress, bath, motivation. This is my recipe. I'll be up until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, working, positive, optimistic. Awesome. You got to find your recipe, man. You just got to do it. I love telling this story.
Yeah. Man, thanks so much, bro.
Appreciate it.
Done.